got a feeling
Finally.
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. I got a feeling there is no chance they're going to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. I'm just kidding.
They're still not expected to have over 8.5 wins. They're still not expected to have a winning record. Now, I know things could change for the next 24 hours. I get that. But everyone expected Aaron Rodgers to sign with him. He's going to sign with him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line. Only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of thoughts.
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
And welcome in. It's in-game live game day on this marvelous Monday evening. Scott Wetzel alongside Joe Ben, sitting in for Dave Sherpan all this week as we take you right up until 10 p.m. Eastern time, analyzing, watching, betting on the world of sports. Yes. MLB, we got an Aaron Judge home run already. We got a little recap of the NBA finals from last night, little preview of the NHL draft coming up this week. SGPs, Black Clouds, we got it all over the next 2 hours. My partner in crime is Joe Madden, who we work with on weekends, Saturday and Sundays right here on the grid. What's going on, Joe? How are you tonight?
I'm doing pretty good. Lots of lopsided games out there right now, Scott, so there might be some opportunities for us to jump on some live markets. The Baltimore Orioles, they're actually putting some runs on the board, and they have the bases loaded at the moment over the Texas Rangers, sitting 4-0. Also, the Atlanta Braves up 3-0 over the Mets. Now, the Mets actually, they're going into the top of the fourth. I was going to say they had runners on first and second, but it looks like 3 outs, so go into the top of the fourth there. Not a great day for the Mets and Rangers fans at the moment, Scott.
Yeah, I don't know if you can make a bet on will a player get hit by a pitch. Maybe that should be a new bet for the boys in Vegas. But if you could, I would bet on Ronald Acuna Jr. getting hit by a pitch somewhere in this game. I don't know if you saw, he hit a home run. I think it was the second or third inning. I think it was the third, right? So as he's going around the base, first off, he rounds first base and he pretends to throw a bomb into the Mets dugout. That's not bad enough. That's as he's rounding first base. Then he rounds second base, stops in between second and third base, and does this goofy dance. And then he obviously picks it back up and ends up, obviously going to home plate. But it's like, what was that? I don't know. So 3-0 game, top four, Joe. If this gets to like 6-7-0, even if it doesn't, I'm guessing somewhere along the line he's going to get plunked. If not tonight, certainly in this series. That was as crazy. I mean, listen, he's pretending to throw. I mean, I guess that's what he was doing. He kind of used his hands to throw something, pretending obviously to throw something into the dugout, and then he puts his hands over his head. So that represents what? Some kind of bomb, right? I mean, I don't know. Is that like suspendable? I mean, is that a fine? They sent his brother down, but that's no reason to throw a bomb into the dugout, right? But maybe that's where I guess that's where it came from. He's upset his brother got sent down by the Mets. Either way,
but come on.
Yeah, I mean Can we? Is there a bench clearing brawl? A bet on FanDuel that we can make. They put everything else up there, right? I'm guessing he's going to get. You mark it down. 8:05 Eastern time. If not, like I said today, maybe the circumstances don't arise today, but somewhere in this series he's going to get plunked. And if the Mets don't plunk him And really, they should do it the very next at bat, which he's yet to have. If they don't do it tonight, that's really like, you know what? I'm scratching them off my World Series list. That's no character, no backbone, no support of a former teammate, no pride whatsoever. They got to respond tonight. But
here's the question. Can Blackburn come out and make it look like a mistake? Or is it going to look dead obvious if Blackburn nails him with one?
Well, you know what? Even if he tried to make it look like a mistake, like an 0-2 pitch, or say, we all know it's a response to what he did. So, and I'd be okay with that. I would. Well, it's not in his head. You don't want to do something goofy like that. But listen, if Shohei Ohtani can get thrown at not once but twice in the San Diego series, then Acuna can get hit at least one time in this Mets series, right? I mean, so
let's keep an eye on it for sure.
Yeah, he's up right now. Ooh, how about that? You know what? I didn't even realize that. I got to put the game on. Hold on a second. All right, I got it on. Of course, that's the one that's freezing. My little 4-corner box of. There he goes. I will see what happens. Yeah, nothing. So far, nothing.
No response.
Yeah. Mets, that's it. They're done. If they don't plunk them right now, leading off there's one out, 3-0. You're gonna lose. What's the difference? And I think he hit a double. Oh, the Mets.
Oh man.
Did he, or was it an error?
Come on, Blackburn's struggling. That's for sure.
It wasn't a double, but it was an error on the Mets. So yeah. I played a little hunch tonight, Joe. The heat wave here in New York really wasn't that bad today, but Midwest and the East Coast here in the States getting heat waves, temperatures in 90, 95. So I bet against a lot of pitchers tonight, thinking they're not going to go their normal distance, which is between usually 5 and 6 innings with the outs that you can bet. I like that bet. Have some success with that. So with the heat wave being what it is, I'm guessing these guys are all going to pitch maybe an inning less. So one of them was Blackburn, although it was only 4 2/3. So he's, if he gets through this inning, he'll actually hit that one. Ladola was another one. His was almost 6 innings, and he's through 3. So the halfway decent chance he's going to come out. He's got a bunch of pitches, but a couple of hunch plays today. We're right back on the Diamondbacks. I know you and I worked yesterday. Arizona losing outright to Colorado, which is unheard of. They get the nice little back-to-back Colorado Chicago White Sox series. Arizona scoring 2 in the top of the first, lead the White Sox 2-0. I had that. I like the Brewers tonight. They're down 1-0. That's okay against Pittsburgh early on, second inning, obviously. Just an overview. What are some of the games you like tonight?
Oh, I liked a lot out there tonight. That Arizona Diamondback Chicago White Sox game. I did take that one to the over, expecting those runs to come in. I just thought Rodriguez would allow the Chicago White Sox to score a couple runs off of him. And we know the Diamondbacks can get those runs on the board. Now, with the New York Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds, I was looking at this young pitcher to come out strong, Alan Winans here for the Yankees. I believe that's how we pronounce his name, Scott. I took him for over on his strikeouts. He's making his debut, but he's not a young rookie. He's 29 years old, and we look at him in the minor leagues, and he's been absolutely fantastic down there. 29% strikeout rate, and he's got an ERA below 1. So I was hoping he'd come out nice and strong versus the Cincinnati Reds in this one. I took the Yankees team total over the 5.5. Even though I'm liking a higher scoring game, counting on the Yankees to be able to get the most of those runs here. On the Reds, I looked at Judge for that home run. I need Ellie De La Cruz for a stolen base as well. That was a part of my 3-leg parlay with Judge and the over for the Yankees team total. But I was also looking at the Mets to get the win. So really disappointed with seeing them down 3-0 right now here versus the Atlanta Braves. I'm kind of going, do I really want to jump back in on the Mets plus 2.5? We know Pete Alonso, if his bat can come alive here, the Mets have every ability to get back in this game, Scott, but I don't know if I trust it. Plus 2.5 right now is plus 116. So we're still getting plus money, but until Blackburn's out of this game, I don't think I want to touch it at the moment.
Yeah. They did strike out Acuna. It was the guy before they got on second base. So that's good, I guess, as far as the Mets are concerned. But, you had first base open. This would have been the absolute perfect time to plunk them. I mean, with first base open, 1 out, set up a double play. Instead, the Mets struck him out. Well, the Mets just don't beat the Braves, though, Joe. I will say that. Normally, a home team down 3 runs. Yeah, I take a flyer on them. But first of all, they're playing lousy baseball. 1-8 their last 9, and they're 9-24 against the Braves, including 1-7 their last 8 meetings, including getting swept in Atlanta last week. So Braves and Mets, it's just a bad combination for New York, and especially the way they're playing. So I'd stay away from that one. 3-0, even getting 4-1 or even 2.5, I wouldn't bite. So normally do our 5 on the line, but you know what? There's just not that many games. So they're already all underway except for 2. So no 5 on the line tonight, but we will have our SGP, our Black Clouds, and how about a couple of bad beats from yesterday? We'll talk about that next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching!
Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Welcome back in game live game day here on the grid. Scott and Joe Madden in for Dave Sharepad this week as we take a look at baseball. George Kurtz will join us, do some more baseball with him, a little hockey talk with the NHL draft, obviously the NBA draft as well this week, but the Georgia hockey guy will see who his beloved New York Islanders will be drafting with the number 1 slot overall. We got Adam Kaufman joining us as well, and then Cam Stewart, as he always does, final hours. So before we get back to the baseball board here, Joe, your thoughts on last night's OKC, relatively convincing, more importantly, covering win against the Indiana Pacers. Thunder is the champ, and thank goodness the NBA season is finally over with.
Yeah, I tell you, losing Tyrese Halliburton was such a game changer for the Indiana Pacers. And you look at them, they were able to really stay strong in that first half, actually winning the first half. But that third quarter, they just ran out of steam. And when you really look at it, Scott, they won the well, they lost the first quarter 25-22, but they won the second quarter 26-22, and that fourth quarter 23-22. It was that third quarter that really knocked them down 34-20. They were turning over the ball. They weren't hitting their shots. And I do think if Tyrese Halliburton was out there, we would have had a lot of a different outcome in that game. It might have been a tighter one, at least here. I tip my hat to OKC. They played a fantastic game, but it's hard to watch a team lose, their force out there on the hardwood and then have to just try to fight back. And they did their best. Both teams should hold their head high, especially OKC. So congratulations to them. And congratulations to you. I know you're rolling with OKC, laying the points as well as on the money line. And Scott, we did hit that prop you were talking about, one team to go up by 17 points. And I believe that happened in the third quarter at one part.
Yeah, it did. I think it was as high as 22. I didn't think it would get that high, but it actually did. Couple things. One, what you said there, Joe, that broadcast is the word. I mean, Doris Burke and Richard Jefferson, and oh my God, they were just awful last night. And they were awful the whole series. I mean, nothing says February basketball like a Doris Burke, Richard Jefferson broadcast. I mean, the whole world that's watching that game second half and seeing Indiana fall apart is saying what you just said, Joe. What would have happened if Halliburton wouldn't have gotten hurt? That was the storyline. I know TJ McConnell was going off, but he was playing single basket. He was going 1-on-5. I mean, it was, they were desperate to bring up something, and yet that never brought up somehow or another. I don't understand that. Two, we talked about these two plays, right? One was a goofy one, maybe both were. But if you watched our show yesterday, we looked it up, and Chet Holmgren had scored, oddly enough, in the first 3 minutes of all 6 previous finals games. I don't know why, but he just comes out strong, right? So FanDuel offered that bet, minus 130. Will he score in the first 3 minutes, game 7? You got to play yes, right? He's done it in 6 in a row. So long story short, because I got another one, he has the ball. There's 18 seconds left of the first 3 minutes, Joe. Brings the ball down the court. He's got the ball. I'm telling, shoot. He has the ball. Shoot. He has the ball. It's ticking down. It's down to 5. It's down to 4. It's down to 3. Shoot the freaking ball, Chet. He shoots the ball. He gets a bucket. We win our bet, right? No. Because by the time the ball got through the net and the rim, there were 3 minutes and 2 seconds elapsed. We lost our bet by 2 effing seconds, Joe. I mean, you talk about a bad beat. Just horrible. Horrible.
That is absolutely heartbreaking. When I saw that come in, Scott, and was watching the game, and I was doing the same thing. I was yelling at him to shoot that basket as well, and then flashbacks of when I played Tyrese Halliburton to do the same thing, and it happened at 3:01, so yours went 1 second over, and it's just like, if it just would have gone in that second, right? Like he threw it up. Because he threw it up, and I swear it was 2:99 on the clock. Like it took forever for that ball to get through that basket.
Yeah. And then the other one we talked about, like we thought was a mistake, once again, the boys in Vegas. So they offered up a prop bet. How many 2-point baskets will OKC make? And Joe and I were talking about it yesterday. And we thought most, usually it's like 30, 35, right? And we looked it up. They gave us a number of 24.5. I looked it up. OKC had 25 2-point baskets in every single game except the last game. When they got blown out, they only had 23. And I just wrote that off as well. They just played the worst game of their lives. So they're going to obviously get 27, 28, 29. It's not even going to be close, right? So long story short, Joe, they need 3 2-point shots in the final fourth quarter. I got an entire 12 minutes. They had 11 or 13 in the first half. They had 9 in the third quarter. So all I needed was 3. Now, you're going to get 3 buckets in a quarter, Scott, right? I mean, there's just no way that can lose, right? They get 1 in the first, 2 minutes. Now I'm down to 2 in 10 minutes. I'm kicking myself for not putting the bet in for a third time because I actually doubled down on it, right? It's the easiest bet in the world. The boys in Vegas, they made a mistake. Joe and I thought that they put the Indiana number on OKC, the OKC number on Indiana. So now it gets down to 8 minutes, still need 2. Then it gets down to 6 minutes, still need 2. Now I'm starting to and we get down to 5 minutes, Joe. Still need 2. And we get down to 4 minutes. And now I'm really starting to get aggravated like I used to get when I gambled a lot more. Now we're down to 4 minutes. Still need 2. We get a dunk. I forget where, from Chet Holmgren with about, I think it was 3.5 minutes left. So I'm down to 1. 1 bucket, 3.5, 4 minutes. And by golly, Joe, long story short, we didn't get it. They had 2 2-point shots in an entire quarter, and we landed at 24, not 25. We lose the bet by half a shot, if you will.
If you had to put odds on that, Scott, 2 or less, you would have got so much plus money, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. I can't even believe that. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
You would have thought 100% you would have got it.
It's an example, one of a gazillion, of how a bet isn't won, man, until it's won. Right? We say it all the time, and it is so true. 3 stinking buckets in a quarter, and I don't get it. Unbelievable. SGP is coming up next.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage, pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West, because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe Madden in for Dave Sherapan tonight. 3rd segment of our first hour. You know what that means? Time for a little SGP same game parlay action. All right, I'll go first. Joe has one as well tonight, so I'm going to use the Angels and Red Sox series, Joe. I did look it up, and it's about 500, but being a Red Sox fan, I must tell you, it just never seems like Boston ever wins in L.A. against the Angels. But it's like they're 5-7, so it's not that bad. But that said, I'm going to take the Angels plus 102 against Boston. I don't think the Red Sox deserve to be road favorites. They're playing better ball, but not on the road as far as I'm concerned, as far as being favorites are concerned. So give me the Angels plus the 102. I love the over 9 Boston Angels. Walker Buehler's on the hill. Kohanowitz is on the hill for the Angels. Both those pitchers stink. Buehler's not been good this year at all, unfortunately. Not yet anyway, so I don't know how this one doesn't get 10 runs. I'm going to go Mike Trout, one hit, minus 250. Listen, we all know he's the most overrated pitcher in the history of, or overrated player in the history of baseball, but he does hit the Red Sox, I will say. How about a number of Mike Trout hits in 15 of his last 17 games against the Red Sox, 293 batting average for his career, including 14 homers and 38 RBIs. He's got to get a hit tonight. And then I'll go with Nolan Schanuel to get a hit at minus 220 and him to get an RBI as well. He's their leading RBI guy. So a little surprised getting plus 240 on that. Add it all up, and it's a halfway decent plus 765, Joe.
Ooh, that's a nice one. I've got the Yurfie in that one. I'm looking for all of those runs to come in as well. So I'm going to tail you on that. And then I'm looking at the Nationals versus the Padres. This one will start at 9:40 Eastern tonight. So I've got a four-legger here for you. I'm expecting us to see a lot of runs in this game as well. We look at Michael Parker coming out here for the Washington Nationals, and he's had his struggles. He continues to allow these home runs to come rolling in. His ERA is a 4.61, and Kolek on the other side here for the San Diego Padres, he's having issues with control. He's allowing those walks, and he's also allowing those bats to get on base. So I do think the Nationals will be able to capitalize on that. I'll take the over 8.5 at minus 112 for the first leg of my parlay. And then I've got three players that I'm going to circle here. We've got to look firstly at Manny Machado for 2+ bases here for the San Diego Padres. We know how strong he is on the offense. He's minus 125 for his 2+ bases. I know you got to lay some juice, but I'm happy to do so with him. And then I'm going to look at two players here for the Nationals because I look at Kolek here and just the troubles he's been having. And I do think the Nationals lineup should be able to hit him and hit him hard tonight. He's got a 3.63 ERA. So I'm going to look at James Wood. You can look at him for his 2+ bases, but I just took the RBI. I wouldn't be shocked if it does come via a home run. His RBI is coming in at plus 170 tonight. And then Garcia for the 2+ bases at plus 100. Garcia is hitting nice and strong as of late. He's got 18 doubles, 7 home runs, and 15 walks on the season. So I'll take the 2+ bases at plus 100. So put them all together, all 4 legs coming in just over 10-1, Scott. It's plus 1017.
All right, that's not bad. Get some runs there, get those bases going. I wish they offered. Again, FanDuel does some weird things sometimes. Sometimes they offer the bases. Well, they always offer the bases, I should say, Joe. But sometimes they offer combined hits, runs, and RBIs. Mm-hmm. And I like that play so much more than I do the bases. Because you can get on with a walk, an error, fielder's choice, and for whatever reason, according to the records, that doesn't count as a base, even though you're getting on base. The bases are only with hits, as you know. So, but if you do the runs, hits, and RBIs, you can get on, via walk or whatever error and score a run, and get something for that at bat versus, the 2 bases or 3 bases or whatever. But they don't offer that. Sometimes they do in certain games. Other times they don't. It's kind of weird. But I much prefer that. But otherwise, yeah. Listen, I like the Padres. I think we're going to get some runs in the game tonight. So as we'll find out, my Black Cloud that's coming up in about a half hour. But listen, the Nationals, the way they played against the Dodgers, yesterday, blowing a 3-0 lead and losing 13-6 or 13-7, where everything was said and done, but still giving up 8 runs in the 7th inning. So who knows what they're going to be like, tomorrow or tonight rather. Got a bunch of baseball games that are going on as we speak, including Arizona, which failed us yesterday, but off to a pretty good start. They're now up 5-0 against the White Sox, and the falling Twins are losing 6-0 already to Seattle. Wow. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll check in with Adam Kaufman. He'll join us, SportsGrid Radio TV host, right here on the Grid in-game live.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis. Because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Astros right now have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, hour number 1. Joe Madden sitting in for Dave Sharapan tonight and will all this week. Although we don't have a show Wednesday with the NBA draft, the guys will be taking over and they'll do the NBA draft for you. So, but Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday right here on the grid. Also, guy that's hosting Newswire this week, filling in for Craig Mish, joins us now. Our good buddy, seeing here all the time on SportsGrid Radio, SportsGrid TV. That's Adam Kaufman. Adam, what's going on tonight? And then, before we get to the baseball, give me your impressions. OKC, the champs last night. They win, they cover. Game does go under. What'd you think?
Well, the game going as under as it did, I did not see coming. I thought we'd get a little bit more offense in that game. I mean, obviously it soared under, but, there's something to be said for the history of Game 7s and whether it's the element of nerves or obviously just improved defense, whatever it is. Again, defense tends to, as the saying goes, right? Defense wins championships. And in Game 7s, historically, that bears out. So, I mean, that was free money if you played the under in that game. For me, I always felt, and it took longer than I thought it would, but I always felt Oklahoma City was going to be the one that ultimately got the Larry O'Brien. It's really disappointing the way in which it happened, and I don't mean the fact that we got a 7-game series. That was exhilarating. That was awesome, and it was a real boon for the ratings as well. But I think that Tyrese Halliburton getting off to the hot start that he did with those early 3 threes, not even making it 10 minutes into that game before leaving with yet another NBA star, ironically who wears the number 0, but yet another NBA star going down with an Achilles injury in the postseason. First, it was Damian Lillard, then, of course, Jason Tatum, now Tyrese Halliburton, 3 guys we may not see on the floor all of next year. So just as a consumer, a fan of the NBA, that sucks. And I know I get, guys, the sort of the what-if element that is going to haunt Pacers fans for the rest of their lives if this team doesn't win a championship in the next couple of decades, which it very well may not. It never has before. But you can always play the what-if game. I heard somebody say, and I thought it was a great point, what if Cleveland was healthy? What if Milwaukee was healthy? What if Boston beat New York? There are a lot of what-ifs that you could, play that game with Indiana. And Oklahoma City, look, I think the Thunder would have won regardless, just maybe the Pacers end up covering the number. But it was unfortunate that we didn't get to see both sides as healthy as possible duking it out to the end.
Yeah, it absolutely was, Adam. And I agree with you. We can play that what if game. I think what if he was in that game, we would have seen it be that tighter one, probably a higher scoring game. And Scott would have hit his 2-pointer baskets
Yeah.
for OKC in that fourth quarter. So I had to throw that out there, Scott. But what do you think of the Pacers game over the 7 out there, minus the fact Tyrese Halliburton wasn't in? Do you think this is a team that should be holding their head high and high hopes for them next season, maybe, Adam?
You know, I don't know about next year because, again, you don't have Tyrese Halliburton, and that's a big deal. It's like how Boston doesn't have Jason Tatum. That's a big deal. You know, Milwaukee without Lillard, and if Giannis gets traded, I mean, that's a team starting from scratch. When a star or superstar, and view Halliburton however you like, but most people would consider him a superstar in today's NBA, it's debilitating. I think you can survive without him, and you can play well without him, and guys like Andrew Nembhard can continue to take big steps and thrive in his absence. But is it enough to carry you to the top of the Eastern Conference? And I guess the answer, Joe, and it's not a good one, is maybe, because the East, especially with Kevin Durant getting traded to Houston and staying in the Western Conference, the East is just so wide open, guys. You know, most people, and certainly the Vegas odds makers, will tell you that, you know, Cleveland's the team that should win the Eastern Conference, and New York is in that same class right behind the Cavaliers. And then it's, you know, your guess is as good as mine. We're so far away. We're sitting here in late June. The draft is only a couple days away, as you noted before, Scott. We need to see what trades, are still made, what free agent signings, you know, impact role players that change homes and go elsewhere. But as far as holding their heads up high, and look, Pascal Siakam, among others, were those to say, like, there are no moral victories, right? Especially when you lose a game 7 for a championship to be remembered for all time. But that Pacers team was so much fun to watch, so gritty, so just pesky and resilient, never quit, never down, never out. I would have expected those guys just emotionally to kind of turtle in the wake of that Halliburton injury. They still led the game at halftime. I mean, they did not go away. OKC got up by 22 points. Indiana cut it to 10. You know, they did not go away. Ultimately, they just kind of ran out of gas, and the better team was the better team. But Indiana was awesome this year, and a worthy championship contender, a worthy representative in the Eastern Conference, and a whole hell of a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it was a long, but it was a good season and a good finals, and unfortunately we didn't get the big bang for Game 7 because of the injury.
Yeah,
but it is what it is, as you said. Baseball tonight. Take a look at some of the games here. We got 2 starting here in a little bit, including our beloved Red Sox. Never play well in LA. I looked it up, but they're actually 5-7 against the Angels in Los Angeles. But you got Boston and LA and Washington, San Diego. Any thoughts on either one of those two?
So Boston, I wouldn't make it a big play, but I would sprinkle the Red Sox tonight. I get that they're favored, so it's like real bold prediction, right? I mean, the Red Sox, as bad or inconsistent as they've been, I know as of late they've played better. The Angels are obviously nothing special on the other side. I will say the trends go against them in terms of, you know, the travel trends that you always like to look at the beginning of series, and in this case, the away to away versus home to home, that type of thing. It's not ideal, obviously, for Boston, and there are some stats out there that back up Walker Buehler pitching really well in starts after he got shelled and comes in as a favorite and yada, yada, yada. I mean, baseball has a million of these statistics. I think Boston wins. I wouldn't go heavy on it by any means. I think what is more interesting to me in this game, probably, guys, is the over. That, you know, there was an 8.5 out there earlier, I believe. Now, obviously, it's at 9. I would continue to play the over in this one. I think we're just going to get a lot of runs. You know, you got a bad, albeit, I guess, better of late, but a bad Boston bullpen. The Angels pitching staff in general, not great. You know, these two teams, Red Sox in particular, do have the ability to hit. So I just, you know, I'm rooting for runs. I will root for the Red Sox as a fan, and I threw a little bit on it just to have some action. But, you know, runs, I think, is paramount. That's where I would look first.
Now, with the Washington Nationals and San Diego Padres, can you see some more runs coming in here? We've got 2 pretty inconsistent pitchers out there. I don't really trust Parker here for the Washington Nationals. That total's sitting at 8.5. I thought it would be a 9.5, going to be honest. It's minus 112 to the over, Adam.
Yeah, I think playing the runs in that one is something you could do for sure, and I wouldn't play the under. So if I'm looking to get involved in the total, I would go over. Probably look more maybe at a team total for whichever team ultimately I would side with. I don't have a play in this game. To your point, I don't care for either of the pitchers, as Scott knows. I talk about it all the time with him. I tend to now more than ever lean into what I know, sort of the controllables, the starting pitchers versus the bullpens in first 5 plays, and trying to take the pen out of it. And that can bite you. Don't get me wrong. I mean, sometimes that does go sideways, but this is just, this looks to me on paper like a really ugly, somewhat unpredictable game, guys. And I think that, I've had enough at play with these games that are happening right now, that this last one was just kind of more of a stay away from me.
All right. What'd you like heading into today?
So, I want to see how it matches up. Let me pull up the scoreboard too, see how I'm doing. I rolled in and talked to you guys, so this is either going to be good or bad, right? Chasing the over in this Rangers-Orioles game. It looks like we got a little work to do. There are 6 now through 8. Yeah. I am on the Braves, both first 5 and full. That first 5 came home. I'm on the Reds, both first 5 and full, so that first 5 is good to go. This one did not go well for me. I decided I would trust in Sam Smith. I went first 5 for the White Sox today, small play, and I was talking about it earlier, getting roughed up here. And Seattle is another one I am invested in. They're off to a great start.
Adam, great job as always. Check about Newswire noontime right here on the Grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West, because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card, but I do think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in Game Live, Game Day here on the Grid. Scott Joe Madden until 10 p.m. Eastern Time as we watch the world of sports. Thanks again, Adam Kaufman, for joining us there. And check out the Newswire, which is on, noon to 1 on SportsGrid TV, SportsGrid Radio, SportsGrid TV, as he fills in for Craig Mish this week. So do appreciate a couple moments from him. A couple of updates here, Joe. One, listen, I'm going to make us think about this. Mets had a golden opportunity to throw at Acuna Jr. again, if not the first time. First off, if you missed it, acts like a buffoon, pretends to throw a grenade or a bomb, whatever, into the Mets dugout, then pretends he's flying away. I don't know what he was doing on the base paths. He stops in between second and third base and does this goofy dance. I don't know. I guess he's upset because the Mets apparently sent his brother down to the minors. Maybe that's it. So next time up, you think he's going to get plunked, right? That an open base, they don't throw at him. Okay. Next time up, which was just a moment ago, they had 2 outs, nobody on. I mean, just the ideal time to throw at somebody. They strike him out, for the second time since the first inning antics, but still, or third inning antics, but still, you got to hit the guy. If he's going to act like a jackass, and you don't hit him twice when you have 2 opportunities, we're not, talking bases loaded here. We got to pitch to him, Scott. I mean, 2 great opportunities to kind of respond to him acting like a bozo, and the Mets don't do it. Maybe that's why the Mets have lost 8 of 9. So, anyway, they trail now 3-0 as they play in the bottom of the 6th inning. Just finished up Texas and Baltimore. Orioles shut out the Rangers 6-0. This is one of the hazards, Joe, of coming on when we do. It's no big deal, but there are so many games that are already underway, and you'll never find a better under game. I was surprised Adam said he was sitting on the over. Clearly, he doesn't look into trends like we do. So Baltimore is now 18-5 under their last 23 games, including 7-1 under. And Texas is now 44-19-1 under, the number 1 under team in all of baseball. I mean, if an under trend jumped out at you any more than this game, I don't know what it would have to do, but under, remember that for tomorrow, for those that, watch us and put little notes down. You got to keep playing the unders in this series. 6-0 Baltimore does win, though.
Yeah, you absolutely do. I can't believe actually the Baltimore Orioles got that many runs though, Scott. So we got Charlie Morton coming out for the Baltimore Orioles tomorrow. I'm not seeing a pitcher yet listed for the Texas Rangers, but it's gotta be an under that we're looking at there. Just keep rolling with that trend. That trend is way too strong for us not to roll with. I'm just looking at the odds to see if I can find that total for tomorrow. Scott, are you seeing it as I try to scan down here? I'm not as of yet.
Yeah, not yet. Maybe not. I'm sure they'll have it posted, but I don't see it otherwise. Yeah. So speaking of good under trends, Stankies very quietly on a 10-1 under trend. Last 11 games. Taking on Cincinnati tonight. They're trailing 3-1, bottom 5. Over under now is 9.5. Reds leading 3-1, minus 590. Stankies plus 390. Yankees played a little bit better baseball. Actually, no, they're not. They're 3-7 their last 10. Here's a goofy one for you. Again, this game started before we came on the air, but Cincinnati, for whatever reason, 19-3. Sherapan loves these. He always gets a kick out of me, giving these trends out. Cincinnati, Joe, 19-3 their last 22 games played on Monday nights at home.
Oh, wow.
Pretty good.
19-3 at home. I wish I knew that trend before I came in here on the Yankees to be able to get some runs on the board, especially when we're seeing L.A. De La Cruz up to bat here. We got loaded bases out here for the Reds. They're leading this one 3-1. Let's see what he's able to do. Can he get a grand slam here, Scott? What are your thoughts on L.A. De La Cruz? I've got him for a stolen base tonight. I'll be bummed if he gets a home run for that reason.
Yeah. I would say, I'm looking at it. It says FanDuel anyway, 1 out. I got it on my TV set. It does say there must be 2 outs because now the TV set says first and third. Oh, I'm just behind. Now the C base is loaded. I was going to say I'd take Cincinnati laying 2.5 runs. They were giving it to us at minus 130. I mean, you got to figure they're going to score a run, right, with bases loaded with 1 out. They're going to lead at least 4-1, and who knows, get a base hit and really bump. Yeah, they must have because now it's minus 3.5 to 1. So let's see 4-1 Reds. Yeah, I'd still do it. Listen, they still got the bases loaded with 1 out. They're up 4-1. Okay, you lost that opportunity, but they're giving you 3.5 at minus 125. I would still do that. The way the Yankees aren't hitting these days, I wouldn't go much higher than that. It's tough to win a game by 5 runs, but I'd take a little flyer on laying 3.5 at minus 125 on the Reds.
Well, It's kind of mind blowing here. We're sitting here at the bottom of the fifth, and that home run for the New York Yankees, it came in that first inning by Aaron Judge, Scott. So
Yep.
they go so many innings without scoring, and I know that they can get hot, and I know their bats can be so solid at points in games, but they just don't have it tonight, it's seeming like. So I don't know, unless Judge can get some players on base before him and hit that big home run to bring it back. I just don't see it coming tonight.
How about Pittsburgh? Adam liked the Brewers today. So did I a lot. They're down 3-1, bottom four. They have a couple of runners on, though, do the Brewers. One out. They're getting plus 136, despite having two runners down 2 runs. Brewers playing great, just coming off a 3-game sweep at Minnesota. They're 5-1 their last 6, 18-7 their last 25. Pittsburgh is awful. 6-18 their last 24 games on the road. 6-18. So I think, I know they're down, but I think the Brewers, even though you're not getting a big number, plus 136, I would take a flyer on them right now.
I definitely would as well. So I came into this one rolling with Chad Patrick over his strikeouts. That number was 5.5.
Me too.
We were getting a little bit of plus money on that, like plus 103 to plus 105. He's actually already got 8 strikeouts on the board. So kind of shocking when you look at the score, right? Like you would expect that he hasn't been able to get those strikeouts. But in 5 of his last 6 games, he's been able to get 6 or more strikeouts. And you look here at Pittsburgh, they're striking out at a high rate. So I was kind of shocked it was 5.5 with plus money, Scott. So yeah, already 8 strikeouts on the board for him.
Nice. Did you have a home run in the Mets game? Did you say you had a Soto home run or somebody, Alonso?
No, I looked at Pete Alonso.
Okay, because Soto just hit a 2-run homer, so 3-2 Mets trail. Alonso's batting now. All right, Black Cloud play of the day coming up next.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe they are the best team out in the West because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe Madden closing out hour number 1 with our best play, our Black Cloud play of the day. Ah, yes. Didn't have a 5 on the line, so we're going to have to go extra deep, extra special, and make sure we give you a winner with our Black Cloud play of the day. Which, oh, by the way, we start the day on a nice little run, 46-28, 22 games over 500. So where are we going to go, Scott? Only really had 2 games, right? The Red Sox game against the Angels or the Padres and Washington Nationals. I'll go with the Padres, minus 170, 175 or so, depending on where you do your shopping against the Nats. Whole slew of reasons, right? Let's rattle them all off. Washington, 2-13 their last 15 games, including 1-6 on the road. They're 1-13 Sherapan special, last 14 games on a Monday, which last time I checked today is. San Diego, meanwhile, 10-2 their last 12 games on a Monday at home, which is where this game is. How about 11-3 their last 14 against the Nationals, including 6 straight wins against the pathetic Nationals? How about Stephen Kolak as pitcher for San Diego? He's not bad. You know, he's 3-2 with a 3.59 ERA. Nothing great, but he's not horrible. Speaking of horrible, though, how about Mitchell Parker pitching for the Nationals? He's atrocious. 4-8 with a nice fat 4.59 ERA, and he's a lefty. So what? Well, let's take a look at the Padre lineup and the big boys. Manny Machado, right-handed. Fernando Tatis Jr., right-handed. Xander Bogaerts, right-handed. They're going to feast on this stiff. There's no way. I don't know why the line's only minus 170. I really don't, the way the Nationals are playing. Padres beat at home, but I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, as the saying goes, Joe. Love San Diego minus 170 or so at home against the Nats.
Oh, absolutely. I think you're on the money with that Black Cloud. You look at how disciplined the Padres are at home as well, and they do hit their best at home in front of that home crowd. So your Black Cloud, I think it is aligned with some money tonight, Scott.
Let us hope so. Let us hope. We'll keep our fingers crossed with that one. Arizona up 7-0 against the White Sox. They tacked on a couple more runs. Brewers back in it here. Hopefully you grab them. They're down 3-2. Scored one more run, and they got runners on first and third, bottom of the 4th inning. It was just even money. It was plus 130 and change. Now they got it locked up. So hopefully they scored a few more runs, maybe a pitching change, but we'll keep you posted on that. How about the Minnesota Twinkies, Joe? Boy, they are playing horrible. They're losing tonight 6-0 against Seattle. I thought Raleigh maybe hit a home run, but he didn't. But Minnesota was playing good ball for the longest time. But you see it there, 3-13 their last 16 games. I mean, they're coming off getting swept at home by Milwaukee this weekend. And I was going to play Seattle, but that they were in front so quickly. By the time we got on the air, it was 3-0. It was basically you can't play them. So, but that's this Twins team bet against them tomorrow till they break this streak.
Yeah, definitely have to. They're just absolutely struggling out there. And you look at the Seattle Mariners, they're only a minus 130 favorite coming into this game. Scott, I wish I looked at the run line because I didn't. I looked at the price on the money line, went minus 130. Do I really want to lay it? Brian Wu has been solid. He's an average strikeout pitcher. And I just looked at the Twins and I was like, do they need a bounce back? Can they get the bounce back with Ober coming out here? And I thought, well, just maybe, but I didn't want to put my money on the Twins. So I kind of talked myself off of Seattle because at minus 130, I wanted a minus 120. I completely would have hit on it. I just don't know why I didn't think to look at that run line. So, because this is disappointing by the Brewers again.
Yeah. A lot of blowouts tonight. St. Louis leading the Cubbies 6-1. They play bottom of the 5th inning. And I'm not a big proponent on, laying 4.5 runs. I might do 2.5, and I even suggested 3.5, maybe with the Reds because they have the bases loaded there. But, normally would I lay like 6-1, lay 4.5? No, I wouldn't. Although I will say you're up 5 runs. It's the bottom of the 5th inning, and they're letting you lay 4.5 minus 114. So you'd have the lead since you're leading by 5. Maybe, you know what? If I'm going to do something, maybe the over 9.5. It's a little juicy, minus 158, but you have 7 runs already. You need 3 more. You're only in the 5th inning. I could see that hitting, 10 runs. Maybe find a parlay partner for that one.
Well, are you kind of shocked with this total here? It is sitting at a 9.5. It was a 9 going into this game at minus 105 to the over. I would have expected a 10, maybe, but I guess you've got to lay that juice, right?
Yeah, that's it. I'd almost rather have 10 with no juice than 9.5 with monster juice. So, hour number 2 coming up next here on the grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Welcome back in-game live game day here on the grid. Hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Joe Madden in for Dave Sherapan this week as we take you right up until 10 p.m. Eastern time watching a little baseball. We got George Kurtz joining us in about 10-15 minutes. SportsGrid Radio TV host. Do a little baseball, a little hockey talk with him. Then we got Cam Stewart coming up in about 40 minutes. Do a little baseball and who knows what else with Cam. Just kind of recap the weekend, no doubt. In the meantime, Joe and I talking a little baseball here. Joe, got a couple games starting this hour. Why don't we preview those before we get back to the games that are in progress, since nothing really has changed that much. We talked a little bit about it with our SGPs and everything, but still, for those that weren't watching earlier on, we'll start with the Red Sox and Angels. Basically, pick them. Boston a slight favorite, minus 116, 117 or so. Angels right around even. Red Sox actually playing decent ball. They did lose 2 or 3 to San Francisco, but still 8-3 their last 11, 10-4 their last 14. Nice little under run, 8-3. Although again, 2 of those games in San Fran, oddly enough, did go over. 2-5 their last 7 against the Angels in Los Angeles. Mike Trout, we touched on this first hour. As much as I think he's overrated, I must say he does feast on Red Sox pitching. He really does. Between him and Aroyd, when he was hitting against the Red Sox, I don't know what it is, but the people we hate the most always seem to do the best against us. I can't figure it out. But Trout has hits in 15 of his last 17 games against the Red Sox, RBIs in 16 of his last 23. He's got a lifetime batting average of .293 against Boston, 79 hits, 14 homers, 38 RBIs, and 49 runs scored in 71 lifetime games. So chances are pretty good he's going to do well tonight, especially at home. If you want to play some Mike Trout props. But I do like the Angels. I'm rooting on the Red Sox, but I think it's going to be the Angels, and I think we're going to get some runs as Walker Buehler has really not pitched well for Boston this year for the most part, at least not last month and a half or so.
Oh, he definitely hasn't. And you look at him out there on the road, that ERA is a 5.15, and that whip is a 1.61. So I do think he's going to have some struggles here. The Angels are going to get those runs on the board. I would circle Mike Trout as well. Love where you're going there, Scott. But I'm also going to look at the Yurfie and the over in this game. The yes runs in the first inning coming in at 20. Now, if you want to take a shot on the over 1.5 runs in the first inning, that's basically 2-1. So you're getting that right around that plus 200 mark. But we could see a couple runs right out of the gate. I wouldn't be shocked if we did. I like both of those bets as well as the over 9 for this game. You look at when they faced up already earlier in the season, that first series out there. In that last game, I believe they combined for 20 runs in that one and 13 in game number 1. Can't remember what game number 2 was, but, you know, we look at these teams and combined, they're going to get those runs tonight, Scott.
Yeah. Nationals. The other one I would say is the Kohanowitz, the pitcher for the Angels. His over strikeouts only 4.5. I do think we're going to get some runs. So I'm not big on this. He's not a big time strikeout pitcher, but he does have some. And the Red Sox are a huge strikeout team, so chances are if he could stay in, that's the issue. It's not whether he actually could get to 5. It's whether the Red Sox get to him. He's been okay of late, but there's a reason why his ERA is 5.5, right? I mean that's all you need to know. 3.8 with a 5.5 ERA. So if he doesn't go, 5 innings.
Yeah.
What's that?
Look at the home runs. Look at the home runs he's given up in the last 15 starts. He's given up 16 home runs, Scott. Total command issues out there as well as allowing those home runs to come in. So I can't trust him.
Yeah. Strikeouts his last several games. He had 8 his last time out against the Stanks, then 2, 4, 4. So it's not been good lately, as you said. But then before that, 5, 6, 5. So he's got a couple in there. But I wouldn't go crazy with it. Normally, I always bet against the Red Sox strikeouts, especially when it's only 4.5. But he really has to kind of hang in there and see if he can get at least 5 innings out of him. Washington, San Diego, we talked about it, but just to recap it, Nats playing awful baseball, 1-6 their last 7 road games, 2-13 their last 15 overall. San Diego, 11-3 their last 14 against the Nationals, as most teams are. They beat them 6 in a row. Only really playing 3-7 last 10 games are the Padres. They really kind of dropped off since that great start they had to begin the season. But it's hard not to like San Diego. I got him as the Black Cloud play of the day. Only minus 170 at home. It seems a little, what, written all over it. A little sucker bet there. But I'm going to bite. Give me the Padres against the Nationals, who just got plastered in L.A., giving up all those runs yesterday. They did take one game against the Dodgers. I'll give them credit for that. But I don't think they beat the Padres tonight.
Oh, I don't think so either. I like the Padres on the run line as well, Scott, because if you look at the run line, you lay 1.5. It's coming in at plus money at plus 118. I had to take a double look when I was looking at the lines earlier today going, really? Are we still getting plus money? Because it's the Nationals they're facing here, and I just don't see the Nationals coming out strong enough. Now, I do believe there's going to be runs out of the Nationals. I think they're going to hit Colic at some point. But you look at Parker coming out here for the Washington Nationals. We know the Padres are going to be able to feast in this game. And I expect Manny Machado to really go off in this one. I won't be shocked if he goes nice and deep, gets that home run. So I would look strong at another higher scoring game, Scott, with the Padres here on the run line.
Mm-hmm. Cardinals added a run, Joe, 6-1. Now check that. They've just added 2 more runs. 8-1 now over the Cubs. You want your quirky stat? Not really trend, but just it's not really even a stat, but just your quirky note of the day. St. Louis Cardinals and Chicago Cubs, Joe, have been around for 125 years, right? What are the original fan? Both of them, right? They've been playing baseball literally for over 100 years. They've only, and their all-time record, I looked it up since they're facing off against each other. All-time series, Cubs lead 1,273 wins to 1,221 with 19 pushes. So they've beaten the Cardinals about 50 more times, playing 2,500 games. All right, that's to be expected. That's not that weird, Scott. What's the weird part? The weird part is in 125 years of Cubs-Cardinals baseball, they've only met in the postseason one time.
Really?
2015 Division Series. Yeah, I was like, is that Is that possible? I mean, only, it's not like one of these teams played in the American League. I mean, I know it's only been relatively recently that they've had expanded, playoffs. It used to be just, the pennant. I get that, but really, I think it's just when the Cubs have been so bad. The Cardinals make the postseason seemingly every single year. It's really the Cubs just have been so bad, that I found that amazing. Only one time have they met in the postseason.
That is completely shocking out there, Scott. That's a good cork to throw out there. Okay, so the 9.5, they blew over that. We've got 9.
Yep.
So the books have moved it to 11.5 now. So that minus 158 did drop to minus 118 when we went out of that one inning into the top of the 6. So hopefully someone took it at the minus 118 mark. I tried to get it in, but then they started juicing it up and wasn't able to. But 11.5, Scott, we going to continue to see runs out there? Is that too much?
Yeah, you know what? 3 more runs, bottom of the 6th.
Yeah.
You got 3 solid innings, right? You might get 3. I would go one more time, assuming we're going to win the 9.5, right? I think you're going to get at least one more if we're going to make that assumption. And they're giving it to you at even money. So I'd take a flyer on that. That's one. With all these blowout games, you got to take flyers somewhere along the line. So getting a couple more runs, that's probably one of those that I would make, to tell you the truth. Take a flyer on the Mets, too. Mets down 3-2, plus 280, bottom of the 7th with Rays bullpen. Not bad. George Kirk coming up next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take. Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity.
I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. I want this to be the place that people come to. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune in to Game Time Decisions weekdays on SportsGrid.
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of
18.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
welcome back. In-game live game day on this marvelous Monday evening. Scott Wetzel, Joe Mann for the next 50 minutes or so. Cam Stewart, Gabe Morency at the top of the hour will take over, and we'll get the chance to talk with Cam in about a half hour or so. But in the meantime, we'll talk with our good buddy, SportsGrid Radio TV host George Kurtz, who joins us now here on the grid. What's going on, George? How are you tonight, bud?
I'm melting, right? Along with the rest of us here in the Northeast here,
Yes.
with the temperatures going on, right? Pretty damn hot here. Not to mention my AC went out earlier. But the best thing about my daughter's boyfriend, he's an HVAC guy. Came right over and fixed it up here. So no worries here. It's back in cooling off now.
It's definitely a lucky day for you out there if you got that fixed by your daughter's boyfriend. But let's look at some action out there on the Diamonds, George. The Twins have put 2 runs on the board versus Seattle. The Twins coming back in this game? I doubt it.
No, the Twins suck. All right, this is the team you're betting against right now. They're terrible. All right, they can't score runs. They really can't pitch all that well either. It seems like ever since Lopez got hurt, everything the ship has sunk. Right, it is just sunk here. So they're that team I like to pick against teams that are streaking. They're streaking bad. So I'll keep betting against the Twins, bet against them tonight. And once again, I don't care who's pitching tomorrow. I have no idea who's pitching for the Twins or Seattle tomorrow. I'll be betting against the Twins. It won't matter, and I won't stop until they win a game.
Yeah, 3-13 their last 16 games. Really, just they were playing so good, beforehand. Your Yankees in Cincinnati, heat wave there, no doubt. 4-1 Reds, bottom of the 7th inning. The only run, a home run from Aaron Judge in the first inning for the Yanks. Otherwise, it's been all Cincinnati. George, do anything with this game?
Yeah, once again, bet against the Yankees here. It had nothing with the Yankees. They were throwing Alan Winans. Yarrow went on the IL here. I mean, Winans is probably somewhere around their 9th starting pitcher, all right? So, and he's not a rookie. This guy's 29 years of age. He's been around here. I believe Atlanta, the Mets here. So I didn't have much faith again with him tonight here. The Yankee offense is still not fixed, all right? It is still broken. Just because they scored 9 runs on Saturday, they had a little bit of a breakout there. But, yes, they didn't look all that great. Tonight looks terrible. They can't get runners in from third with less than 2 out here. They had a left-hander going up against them on the mound here. I thought this was an easy choice to pick against the Yankees tonight. So, yeah, I went with the Cincinnati Reds. Tomorrow, we'll see here if I'm going to follow that, as the Reds are throwing one of their top rookies, Burns, against the Yankees tomorrow. So I may not follow through tomorrow with betting against the Yankees. I just don't like betting on rookie pitchers making their debut.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard spot to be on. Are you shocked Chicago is down 8-0 to the Arizona Diamondbacks?
Shocked? Well, I guess 8-0. I could be a little surprised here. I certainly didn't expect them to win tonight. What this game is, I've been watching this game. It's like batting practice for the Diamondbacks. Every time I look up, there's a ball flying over the right field wall. Cattell Marte, Dick Smith hit one out as well here. No, I mean, listen, the White Sox are a team I rarely bet on them. I mean, maybe they're playing Colorado or Pittsburgh. You can find a way to bet on them, but they're a team that you bet against a lot here. Diamondbacks are, I was going to say, a good team. They're an okay team that's probably hasn't played up to their potential yet this season. We'll see what they do at the break if they try and replace Corbin Burns here. But I was on with Diamondbacks tonight in a parlay.
Ooh, Brewers just tied up the Pirates on a 2-run homer. Nice 4-4. How about the Metsies, George? Did you see what Acuna did tonight? And if so, your thoughts. If not, I'll tell you what he did.
I saw it. And I meant to put a post on Twitter that if the Mets decided to drill him, I would not be upset. And I'm not a Mets fan. I'm not a Brave fan.
They didn't, George. They had 2 opportunities. One time first base was open, they didn't. And the next time they got up, there were 2 out with no one on base, and they still didn't drill him. I mean, you got. Listen, I'm not big on hitting players, but you got to do something if you're the Mets there.
I'm like you. I'm not big on using the baseball as a weapon either. But in that case, don't you keep it below the head. Really got to keep it below the chest or lower. I'm okay with it. That's showing a team up. You don't do that little dance around between second and third when it was. You just don't do that. I said old days. Listen, Scott and I know the old days. He'd be going. I mean, John Drysdale would have tried to kill him. All right, Nolan Ryan, Tom Seaver, he'd be dead. All right, you would never do that here. I know it's a different age here, and I don't want to be that get off my lawn type of guy here. But I'm just not a big believer in showing up the other team. It's your job. You did your job. All right, you hit a home run. Good. That's your job. Do it. If it was a game-winning home run, Scott, I might feel a little different. You're walking off the field. Yeah, you want to go dance the mambo, go ahead. But other than that, no, I did not like what they did. But I wonder if they're waiting for when the game's out of hand. It's still a 1-run game now. I know when he was up, it was a 3-run game. But I wonder if they're just waiting for, I guess, a better situation.
Well, maybe there's still time left in this game, but what did you parlay with the Diamondbacks?
Oh, Scott just pointed it out. The team that tied it up, the Milwaukee Brewers. So I'm a little happier than I was 10 minutes ago when I came on air here. That game's on a lower screen. I can't see that through the screen here. So happy to hear they tied up. Yeah, Milwaukee and Arizona is my parlay.
Okay, I like it.
2 games later on tonight, Red Sox and Angels. We'll start there. Your thoughts?
I mean, it's tough to bet on either one of those teams, the Sox or the Angels here. It's not like I love either squad here. Both, I don't think either one's a bad team. They're just both not good teams here. That being said, small play on the Angels here. Once again, sticking the home team there. Small play, nothing dramatic.
Okay, then the Washington Nationals and the San Diego Padres finish it up tonight. Total of 8.5 in this one, with the Padres being a minus 172 favorite. Did you roll with the Padres in any direction in this one?
I thought about the parlays as the parlay with the Diamondbacks. I ended up choosing the Milwaukee Brewers instead of the Padres. So I'll let you know where I am here. I'm not going to lay the 172. Generally, I'm about a minus 160, maybe minus 165. That's my limit here. So we're not going that far over. But hey, I'll take the run line here. I don't love it. Once again, it's a smaller bet. I don't love this against Washington, though Washington's been pretty bad of late. They did play somewhat competitively for at least 6-7 innings each game versus the Dodgers there. So we'll see if they can do that tonight. But I'm on the Padres, but the run line, not the money line.
Any drama for the NHL draft, do you think, coming up this week?
I think there'll be moves. All right. I don't think it'll be the Islanders, by the way, at least not the number 1 overall pick. I think the Islanders are taking Schaefer. They're taking the defenseman there. I don't think they're going to play games here. But I think there'll be moves. We're hearing Boston's interested. We're hearing the Rangers are interested. Both teams moving up here. We see the trade today that happened to Trevor Zegras went from Anaheim to Philadelphia. I wonder if Anaheim's clearing the decks. Maybe not for a move during the draft here, but to go after Mitch Marner. I wonder if that's what they're doing here by trading Zegras, because they traded kind of low there, but they cleared cap space. Not that they really needed to. They have a lot of cap space anyway, but I wonder if we're going to see moves made towards Mitch Marner when the free agency opens next week.
Yeah, I think that's to me what, the draft is the draft. I don't think there's a Connor McDavid in the draft, but I'm looking forward to that free agency period. That should be a lot of fun. George, great job as always, man. Do appreciate it. We'll do it again soon.
Anytime.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West, because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They showed some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card, but I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid on this Monday evening. Baseball. Talking to George Kurtz. Do appreciate a couple of moments with him as we do from time to time here on the grid. So back to the board for Scott and Joe. Filling in for Dave Sherpad this week. And we'll start at the top here, Joe. Reds and Stankies 4-1. And that's really happening with New York. Boy, they got that hit from Judge in the first inning. The home run, obviously. How many even hits do they have since then? 5. They only got 6 hits. Boy, if you can't hit at Cincinnati, that you talk about a good hitter's ballpark, hot and everything else. They do have the meat of their order coming up: Bellinger, Judge, and Stanton. So if you were going to take a flyer on the Stanks, this would be the time to do it. You're getting a plus 750. I don't know if I would necessarily do that, but anytime they give me one less run, like they're down 3, they're giving me 2.5, and they're giving me plus odds, plus 114. So a lot of times that can be negative money, 2.5 runs minus, 120, 130, whatever, 140. But whenever they give me the plus money, it's like, can the Yankees score one stinking run? Can you at least do that for a Stankies? I probably would take a flyer on that, 2.5 plus 114 if I had to do it.
Yeah, I absolutely would too. That's where I'd go. I couldn't look at money line here for the Yankees. I just don't trust them enough with what they've been doing out there. So especially down 3 runs. But I do think that plus 1.5 at plus 108 is an interesting look. Tomorrow they'll have Carlos Rodon hitting the mound, as well as Corbin Burns out there for the Cincinnati Reds. So the Reds are a big home dog tomorrow at plus 140. We'll see if Carlos Rodon can silence their bats. He should be able to. Maybe first 5 under tomorrow, Scott.
Yeah, maybe. I'm watching the corner of my eye. That a stinking Brewers game. They didn't have the lead, but they had tied at 4-4. Just like that, top of the 6th, Pittsburgh scores again. The stinking Pirates can't hit their way out of a paper bag. All of a sudden, they're hitting like this is the We Are Family Pirates. So 5-4, Pittsburgh back on top, still batting top of the 6th. They got a runner on third base with 1 out as well. Minus 180. Yeah, maybe it's 2 outs. It must be 2 outs. I think they would be bigger than that, but yeah, a little disappointed. All right, so you want to come back on the Brewer. Let's see if Pittsburgh scores another run, but I got the Brewers in a parlay with Arizona, just like George, and then I got it in a 3-way parlay with San Diego later on tonight. So, really, I didn't think the Brewers would lose against Pittsburgh the way they were playing. Little disappointed in that.
It is really disappointing, just like it's disappointing with the Mets, what they're doing right now. So we're at the bottom of the 8th, 2 outs here for the Mets, no one on. They're a plus 370 underdog if you think they're going to come back. I would love to see between the Brewers and the Mets, one of these teams come back, Scott, because I was riding with both of them with you guys as well. But it does look like the Pirates, they got a runner on third base here. Man, and they just get out of this inning, not allow one more run. Come on.
Yeah, 2 outs. Let's get out of this 5-4. That wouldn't be that bad. Bottom of the 6th inning. A lot of baseball left, right? 4 innings still for the Brewers. But we'll keep you posted on that. It's funny. They really flipped the odds a little bit with the NBA championship after last night's game. Normally, you wouldn't think it would be that big a deal, but with the Halliburton injury. So I was looking at it today. Boy, it's amazing. Indiana, heading into last night's contest, was 13-1 for next year. Like FanDuel and the others have already posted numbers for next year's championship, Joe. So after last night, OKC remains the favorite, plus 220. I think they were plus 210 actually before last night, but plus 220. Cleveland is still the second choice at 8-1. Knicks are the third choice at 9-1. Then you got to scroll all the way down to find Indiana. Past Golden State, 28-1. Past Dallas, 33-1. Past Philadelphia, 33-1. The Indiana Pacers, because of the Halliburton injury, 47-1 to win the champion. They dropped from 13 to 47-1. That's amazing.
That really is. And I know, Halliburton is the superstar of the team, but man, they still got Pascal Siakam, but it is going to be hard for them to repeat what they did this year, Scott. So
yeah. I'll tell you, I'll give you 3 teams. Like, there's got to be a reason why you'd bet this, here in June for next year. You got to wait an entire year for this stuff, right? I mean, there's really, but with the draft being, Wednesday, which you can listen to here with the guys, Kevin and the coach and everyone else, Tom Vecchio, they will change. So if you want to hop on this and get a better number, today and tomorrow is actually the time to do it. But I'll give you 3 teams. Need to take a break. We come back. That I would, if you were going to do it at all, these would be the 3 teams that I have that I think bet them now. Just put it away and then see how things turn out on Wednesday with the draft. You're going to get a better number today. That's when we return.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make a case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a 2-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe, hour number 2. Just a quick little update before we get back to the NBA futures there that I mentioned. Stanky's got a couple of runners on, down 4-1, first and second, no one out. Stanton batting, so let's see if they can produce a run or two since we grabbed them plus 2.5 runs. Mets have runners on first and third, but 2 out against the Braves, down 3-2, bottom 8. The Yankee game was top 8, by the way. So let's see if the Mets can get a clutch hit and at least drive in 1 run to tie this game. I'm guessing they made an out because now it's plus 235 and the Mets are plus 1.5 runs, minus 390. Yeah, maybe not. We'll see. Arizona still 8-0. Pittsburgh 5-4. They did get out of the top of the 6th inning with only that 1 run. So Brewers only down 1, 5-4, and they got a runner on base. Let's see if we can get a couple of runs out of Milwaukee. We need them bad. And the other 2 are blowouts. Seattle 7-2 over the Twinkies and Cardinals 8-2 over the Chicago Cubs. So yeah, we're just taking a peek at the NBA, how the odds change for next year's championship with the injuries to Tyrese Halliburton, dropping Indiana all the way down to 47-1. Here's the odd thing. If you take the first 13 teams, only 4 are from the Eastern Conference, 9 from the Western Conference. I mean, it's just like there is no love for this Eastern Conference. But that said, Joe, there are a couple teams that I would take flyers on. I would take a flyer with Dallas at 33-1. Let's just say, Cooper Flag is the real deal. I kind of have my doubts. I really do. How many great Dookie Pukies are there in the NBA? When you really come to think about it, they're, as great a team and everything else they've had, there's not been that many superstars. But let's say he's the real deal. You get Kyrie back healthy. You get Anthony Davis. They're obviously a team that wants to win and ownership that's willing to make some moves. At 33-1, that's not that bad. I'd take a flyer on Detroit at 48-1, just because they're a real young team. They made great strides last year, made the playoffs, really challenged the Knicks. It took them 7 games. Maybe they're ready to take that next step in a bad Eastern Conference. And then I would go with the Milwaukee Bucks at 70-1, just because it's Giannis. You want to give me Giannis at 70-1. D. Lillard, who knows when he's going to return, but they're either going to move him, Giannis, and get a boatload back, or they're going to more than likely, and this is what I'm really banking on, really improve the team and go out and try and make some trades, do whatever you need to do to go bring in a couple of real true players to help Giannis out. So it's 70-1. I think all 3 of those are halfway decent plays.
Oh, I definitely think the Milwaukee Bucks are a decent play at 70-1. I'm noticing you left off my Toronto Raptors. Any reason why you'd leave Toronto off that list? Yeah, I don't believe in them either, Scott.
Yeah. Toronto is, they're not the worst team odds-wise, close to it, but they're not. I will say they are 200-1. The worst, the Washington Wizards, 500, 4 teams, 5 teams, 6. On FanDuel, they have 7 teams listed at 500-1, including the Chicago Bulls, including the Phoenix Suns, who made the blockbuster move over the weekend. Brooklyn, Utah, Charlotte, Portland, Chicago, and Phoenix. They all have it 500-1. I don't think I'd put Chicago, or Phoenix on there, but the other ones I can definitely see.
Yeah, I'm surprised they're the same odds, right? Same odds as the Wizards. Yeah, they're not winning, but looking at the Chicago Bulls, I would have thought they would have been higher up on the list, kind of like the Atlanta Hawks kind of area, right? At 31.
Right.
So yeah, I'm surprised by that. Do you think we could see OKC run it back next season at plus 220? That's not enough value for me to put my money away on it for the next year. There's no way.
Yeah. Definitely. Like, how low are they going to go? If they're 220 now, here in June, what would, the only reason you bet them now is because you want the better odds. It's as simple as that. And you think, okay, it's worth putting my money away for a year because, one of these teams I just mentioned, a 50-1 is all of a sudden going to drop to 25-1 because they make a great trade draft day, So, how much lower could OKC possibly go? At plus 220 now, minus one or plus 170 or something. To me, yeah, you're right. It's not worth it. Do I think they could? Yeah, could they? Absolutely. Ultimately, do I think they will? I don't know. I'm real curious to see what they do in the regular season next year. Get them into playoffs. I don't know how much better they're going to get versus I think other teams will get a lot better. Like, they're good. Like, I don't know if Chet Holmgren's going to be anything more than a 15, 16, 17-point scorer. How much better can SGA possibly get? How much better can Jalen Williams get? I think they're all pretty good right now. But I think the other teams, whether it's Denver, whether it's the Lakers, whether it's, whoever, I think all those teams can make strides now that they know, okay, this is what we're going to have to do. So at plus 220, though, long story short, I wouldn't bet them. Definitely
not enough value. I'm kind of shocked that we're that we're having to get the Lakers at plus 1,500 while the Golden State Warriors are plus 2,800. I would have thought, the Lakers would have been more around that plus 2,800 and the Golden State Warriors around that plus 1,500. The Lakers, I just don't trust them, Scott. When push comes to shove, this team always lets me down. So I don't know. I think the Lakers are overvalued.
Yeah, listen, it's the Lakers. They know people are going to bet on LeBron and Luka. So it's as simple. So there's no reason to put them at 25-1 when they know they're going to get just as much action if we put them at 15-1. Yeah. So, but that might be worth a little flyer, though. Again, I look for teams that I know are going to really be aggressive and change things around a little bit and improve their team. The clock is ticking with LeBron, clearly, right? You got Luka now the whole year. Could they add on? I would think they would come trade deadline. What's amazing about LeBron is, like, outside of those Miami years, he hasn't had people flocking to him. You don't get it so much in the NBA, a little bit, but like you would think people, if they really were enamored with him, would be like, "Oh, I'm going to go play for the Lakers. I'm going to swallow my pride. I'll take less money. I want to get a championship. Let me go to LA and sign as a free agent and play with LeBron and company." Like, you would think LeBron and Luka, everyone would be just thriving to play with. Then they don't. They really don't. So, but
it'd be a lot of ego to play with LeBron. You imagine the ego in the room there? It'd be a hard one.
Oh yeah, that would be a hard one. That would be tough. It's amazing. The Eastern Conference, they only have 4 of the top, as I told you, 13 teams, but 4 of the top 6 are Eastern Conference teams, which is weird. OKC's plus 220, Cleveland is plus 8-1, Knicks plus 9-1, Rockets 9-1, then Orlando 12, and Celtics 13. So 4 of the top 6, but that's just because their road to the championship is so much easier. Whereas the Western Conference, they're going to have to go through a gauntlet. Eastern Conference is just whichever team just happens to do well. Throw a dart. I refuse to believe Cleveland's going to be there. There's got to be some, like I said, Detroit, maybe Orlando's ready to take that next step. And I wouldn't write off Indiana. I know Halliburton, that's going to be a huge blow, right? He's not going to be able to play. But still, at 47-1, they're a win now team. They realize some success. They'll do something this offseason to kind of fill that void. I think at 47-1, not a bad play.
Look at OKC to take the Western Conference, or plus 130 to take the Western Conference, Scott. That's nuts. I could never get behind that bet right now. This time in the season, I would rather, trust in the Lakers at that point at plus 850. Then you've got the Timberwolves plus 800 and the Houston Rockets at plus 500. Better value.
I'll tell you what, if they had a bet on which conference would win the NBA championship next year, man, I don't know what the odds would be, but you'd be hard-pressed to convince me a team in the East at this point is going to win and beat any of those teams in the West, whether it's, OKC or Denver, Lakers, whoever. I mean, that is so stacked to the Western Conference. So, Cam Stewart coming up next here on the Grid.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Maybe they are the best team out in the West, because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe Madden for another 20 minutes. Top of the hour, it'll be Gabe Morency and our next guest, Mr. Cam Stewart, who we talk to all the time here on the grid. What's going on, Cam? How are you tonight? Congratulations, by the way. Nice little Keegan Bradley hit ticket you gave us last week. Cashes, cha-ching, cha-ching. Hopefully you had a couple of shekels on it.
Yes.
Not bad, my friend. Very nice.
A few shekels, Scott. You know the way golf works. You give and you take back with big winners. So I will say this, though. Tommy Fleetwood had a lead going into the final hole. He hits one right down the fairway, talks to his caddy. His first instinct, let's take the 9-iron. They have a talk, wedge. Puts it short, rolls off the green, whatever. So then Keegan Bradley, he's one shot back, hanging the hole. He shoots. He looks at the ball. He's like, be so good. Boom, inside 5 feet. So Fleetwood chips, misses the putt. He bogeys. And instead of a playoff, Bradley nails his putt. Two-shot swing. He wins without a playoff. And Russell Henley chipped in from like 60 feet from the rough. It would have been a 3-man playoff, but Keegan Bradley gets it done. And Scott, one smart thing we'll always say, Northeast, bet Bradley. And Carver was there. So shout out to Carver, who had Keegan Bradley as well. So I know those beers went down nice and smooth when they're free.
Definitely go down smooth when they're free for sure.
So tonight, guys, I don't know what we do. Joe, there's only a few baseball games left. Gabe will give you all the soccer you need. If you guys are like soccer degenerates, he's got a big card. So for me in baseball, let's take a look at what we got. We got one game has just started, and I like that game as well. Wow. It's locked right now, but I almost want to take the Angels as a pooch because if they get out of this situation, it'll be a real nice price. But I also like the San Diego Padres, but it's minus 240. But I like the over 8.5 in the Padres game. That's what I'm looking at, Scott. I think we can see some runs. I don't love this card at the end, and I really wish we had more, games at 10-10, but this is what we got right now. But Boston right now is minus 265. They got bases loaded, 1 out, but this is how you do the end game, right? If they can find a way to maybe only get 1 or you get out of the inning, you got a good situation. The Angels probably getting 2.5, but I know you're not going to do that, Wetzel, because you're the president of the Boston Red Sox and Boston Sports Fan Club.
They are leading 2-0. They did put 2 on the board.
They put 2 up on the board? So what am I getting the Angels at now? Now I can dig in and see if I can get a price. Man, my FanDuel's a little bit slow tonight. I don't know what's going on here, but still says 0-0. I'm like, what's going on here, guys?
Yeah, mine too.
But like, what is this? I've been basically locked for like 5 minutes. Like, do we have anybody here? Anyway, if that goes to like 2.5 live, 3.5, I will take the Angels in this game, long game. Kind of like both overs in the night game, Scott. That's what I got for you. And other than that, I guess we're getting ready for the NBA draft this week. I hear you guys talking. You're right, Scott. Like anything under like 60 cents for the West, I would bet. I'd probably even like bet, like who in the East? You tell me. The Knicks?
Yeah.
Boston?
Knicks, maybe Detroit. I'm thinking maybe Detroit could take another step forward after having a pretty good year last year. But it's hard. Anything less than 2-1, if they offered that conference bet, man, I'd be all over the Western Conference.
Look at Minnesota, too. Like, Minnesota played well this year. They're going to be there. Oklahoma City's a young team. You got San Antonio getting better all the time, like as a flyer. I don't think they could do it this year, but in the next few years, they're going to be contenders with all the studs that they're picking up. And then, like, Dallas is going to have the first pick in the draft, Cooper Flagg. So it's just one of those situations where you look at the West, Denver still has Jokic, right? So there's way more teams in the West that can actually get things done than in the East. So, yeah, if they posted a number like that, I would definitely take the West to win the NBA championship again.
Are you looking for the upset? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Joe. No, I was going to ask you, what did you think of the game last night?
It was okay. I actually did the smart thing, Wetzel, because I had money and whatever, and I'm like, you know what? I won with golf. I got a lot of bills to pay. My land tax is coming up next week, and I really don't want – I owe 4 dimes. I'm like, really, could we have just sawed me off in 9 months? Anyway, unexpected bills. So I'm like, you know what? Just take the money right now because you got a lot of payments coming up. So, yeah, that's what I did. And it was a smart thing to do. I was happy with it. And sucked that Halliburton got hurt. But you guys kind of told me, Oklahoma City, different team at home. Gabe talked about it too. And, the Pacers had a great run. Yeah. We already won that plus 2.5. So the fact that they went to 7 games with Oklahoma City and won in the fashion they did, let's give them a lot of credit for doing it because it wasn't easy for OKC, but now they got one under the belt with all the talent there. That's going to be scary to see how long this thing maybe can turn into a little bit of a dynasty here if they get 2 or 3.
Yeah, absolutely. The NBA draft, are you having any interest in betting it? We know Cooper Flagg's probably going to go first, but are you looking at anyone with value maybe can pull off an upset maybe in that third, fourth position?
Yeah, Joe, that was the whole thing. Like, they're talking about the kid from Rutgers going fourth, but maybe he can go third because the third choice is minus 300 right now. Basically, the first two picks are like locked and loaded, but things could change, I think, at number 3. So do you really want to lay 300? No, but maybe somebody could slip into that position at a price. It's still something that I'm looking at. I haven't made any bets yet, and Gabe and I will talk more about it tonight. I know he'll rank this stuff and see what we can do, because things never go according to plan in the NBA draft. Like the first couple picks, sure, but things can get wonky at number 3 and 4. So hopefully we can find a price and try to hit it.
Yeah. That's typical NBA. You know, Rutgers was awful this year. They came in, those two kids were supposed to be the greatest thing in the world. I had a ticket on them at like 50-1, and they were mediocre. And now that those two kids who were colossal disappointments in college are going to be top 5 picks. I mean, it's crazy. It really is the NBA.
It's really
draft,
weird, Wetzel, because Rutgers was better when they were that team that nobody talked about, and they just worked your ass into the ground. Like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Like, they used to show up in the tournament and beat teams. Remember when they beat Houston? That was like no one talked about Rutgers. And the minute you talk about Rutgers being good, like that's the thing. They were better when nobody talked about these guys, when they were nobodies. They were just the hard-working Rutgers Scarlet Knights. All of a sudden, you're like, wow, yeah, very disappointing, Scott. I'm with you. I expected a lot more from Rutgers.
Are we just going to fly over?
Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say, are we just going to fly over the total here with the Red Sox and the Angels?
Yes, we are.
Angels price is plus 250 right now, too.
We could get there in the first inning, Joe. More runs. It's locked again. Anyway, I got to find the master key because I want to get in on this and take a shot with the Angels plus 3.5 and a little sprinkle on the money line. Very early, and anything could happen in these ball games. But I like when the favorite goes up by 3 early, and then we can smash the dog. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we all like the over. There's no way this game was going to stay under 9 with those two pitchers.
I like the over in the other game, too.
Yeah, good job, man. Cam and Gabe, top of the hour.
On June 25th at 7:30 p.m., ditch the guesswork. Ben Stevens, Kevin Walsh, James Young, and Tom Vecchio have your NBA draft betting coverage pick by pick, bet by bet, all night long. We got all the insights and expert analysis, because betting blind isn't a strategy. Coverage starts at 7:30 p.m. on June 25th, only on SportsGrid.
Have awoken. Maybe they are the best team out in the West, because a rooting interest for me, Tom, always the Mariners. Hey, they're finally getting the hitting back, but now that's starting to slide.
We can make the case for the Rangers. They shore up some things. A team that the Rangers, you and I were both very high on coming into the season. They make a shot for the wild card. But I do think it's going to be a two-team race between the Astros and the Mariners, and that's really about it.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Does a guy like Giannis fit onto that roster if you can make some of those changes?
I just don't see a KD pursuit as being realistic for the Knicks. But hey, if they can pull a rabbit out of a hat, as Leon Rose oftentimes can, I'd go after Giannis in a heartbeat. It's just, what type of package could they entice for the Milwaukee Bucks? And is it a 3 or 4 team trade? It gets a little bit tricky in that regard.
You see the Knicks there with a plus 340 price.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live. Game Day here on the grid. Scott and Joe finishing up. Thanks to Cam Stewart. He and Gabe Morency will take over in about 5 minutes over the next 2 hours right here on SportsGrid TV as well as SportsGrid Radio. So we got our boy Mike Trout batting for the Angels. Red Sox lead at Joe 3-1, bottom of the first inning. They put 3 on the board, obviously top of the first. Leadoff home run by Neto for the Angels in the bottom of the first. There's no way this thing's staying under 10. That 9 was a gift with these two pitchers. So it's 3-1. You get the Angels plus 176. Looks like Trout got on base. Fudge. At least didn't hit a home run. Over-under is 12.5, and then plus 168. He walked. Swing the bat, goofball. Oh, brother. Padres threatening. I mean, come on. You're making $1 gazillion a year. The pitch was like an inch out of the strike zone. He takes a walk. After a guy just hit a home run 2 batters earlier, right? Padres and Nationals, no score, bottom of the first inning, but San Diego's got runners on first and second, 2 out. Something tells me they didn't score because the line is back down to the original minus 180 because it was well over 200 a moment ago, but I'm thinking they moved to the top of the second, Joe. I think it's no score.
Yeah, we have.
Top 2.
We have. I'm seeing 3 out here. But you know what's interesting, Scott? I know there was no runs in this first inning here. I still expect these runs to come in. The books have adjusted that line from a 9.5 down to a 7.5. And the over 7.5 is coming in at minus 102. That's way too quick of an adjustment when we've got 2 inconsistent pitchers out there on the mound. So the over 7.5 at minus 102, that's an absolute gift right now. I love it. I think we're going to see this game open up.
What is the, you know what I like even more probably is Padres team total, 3.5. Now, a little juice minus 152, but they're not going to score 4 runs against Mitchell Parker. I'd be very surprised. Maybe the Nationals don't play ball and the game goes under, although I like the 7.5 too, but I don't think it's getting a 7.5 unless the Padres score 4. And I can see the Padres scoring 4, but not going over 7.5. So I would take over 3.5 runs San Diego, albeit at minus 154. Just win less, people. I say this all the time, Joe. If you're a $10 bettor, right? So you want to bet 11 to win 10 theoretically, or 10 to win 9. So you bet 10 and you win $6.50. It's not the greatest in the world, but at least you're still making the bet. At least you're putting your 10 up there. You're not risking anymore if you don't want to. You just win less. That's all. And as we say, if your sentence starts with "I only won," then it's going to be a pretty good sentence, right? So I justify it that way. I'll take winning less versus not making the bet at all.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And Scott, do you ever isolate the different innings other than that first inning or the first 5? Because we're looking here, now that we've gone into the top of the second, we can't look at a total runs in the second inning. But what about this third inning? If we get out of the second inning still scoreless, we'd have to bet it before we get to the top of the third, though. But 2 or more runs in the third inning as these pitchers start to wear down is coming in at plus 250. Like, where do you think they start to wear down? The 4th inning? We know the inconsistencies between them. The 4th inning, 2 or more runs. Let me just see what that is. That's plus 240.
Really? Where do you see those bets?
So you go to the innings, and then you'll be able to see all the innings there. You can take the teams to win in these innings, at what will happen in the top of the inning and the bottom of the inning. I would rather just look at the inning as a whole for the total runs.
Yeah. Sharepan always loves to do that with the 5th inning. He says the 5th inning, 5th and 6th are the craziest. But I kind of like the 3rd, especially if you put a couple of runners on in the 1st, as the Padres did. This way, by the time the 3rd inning comes, they should be back in the top of the order. So, I don't want to bet that if I'm getting the bottom of an order. But San Diego put 2 on in the 1st. So assuming, even if they went down 1, 2, 3 in the 2nd, you're still getting back to the top of the inning. So 3rd inning for 2+ runs at plus 250.
Yeah. It's a good price.
Angels score again. 3-2.
Wow.
This has got like 10-9 written all over it.
Oh, does it ever?
Yeah. What's the over-under on that one now? Probably 13.
Yeah.
14?
It's going over. So.
Wow.
Plus 104 to the over? Sign me out.
Yeah. This might go over in the first inning where these two teams are going. Wow, these two pitch. 13 and a half, 5-2. Absolutely. All right, we need to get something out of the Brewers. Down 5-4, top of the 8th inning. They didn't score in the bottom of the 7th. The Brewers are the big play. We need that one, Joe. Good job as always, Joe. We'll be back tomorrow. We're filling in for Ship again. Joe, great job, man. We'll talk to you soon tomorrow.
It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks do, but the Knicks are at a point now where they don't have to blow it up. They may still do so, and they have a right to do so, but with trading the 4 first-round picks and the pick swap for Mikal Bridges, the Knicks don't have a lot of room in regards to actual picks to throw at people.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.